States, COVID camps, quarantine camps. I mean, they have really, really progressed things. What's the biggest red alert on your radar screen, sir?
Well, that's a great question, Harrison. A number of things have shocked me. I'm really I was really some of the information I will share today has been shocking, stunning, but the shock and the stun has given way to anger, and that anger has given way to a quiet, steady resolve to get this information out at all costs. I was shocked when I learned that SARS-CoV-2 was a bioweapon, as pronounced by Dr. Francis Boyle.
Right.
I was just as shocked when I understood that the vaccine was also a bioweapon, and that the vaccine was a multidimensional bioweapon that was training your cells, taking over your cells' machinery, and allowing them to produce spike proteins that were pathogenic, thrombogenic, and were even worse than the virus.
Right.
But what really shocked me, what nauseated me, was when I was introduced to the vaccine patents. And what you're going to hear today is like out of a Nancy story, like a fairy tale. It's going to absolutely turn. I believe this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. I want to thank Dr. David Martin for doing a great job with the patents on the SARS-CoV-2 virus. But these are not the patents for the virus. These are the patents for the vaccines. They are from the mouth of the manufacturers themselves, from the vaccine makers. And so this is shocking, really, really shocking information.
Well, and I'm excited to hear it because I haven't actually been privy to what this information is. So please, sir, the floor is yours. Lay out for us what you've discovered about the vaccine patents.
Right. Before I jump in, let me just say this. I want you to understand that what is being injected into you is an alphabet soup of substances and component parts that can be assembled and programmed to fulfill predetermined objectives. So this is an injectable operating and communication system that's coming into you. And when you hear of the not only the cytotoxic substances but the other major ingredients, the other multidimensional ingredients that are involved, you will be stunned. And this all leads to the very thing you were talking about at the opening of the show, global tyrannical control. That's it's medical martial law. And the goal is to institute it globally. But let me jump into the vaccines, the vaccine patents. Let me just mention that, I know that you saw one of my videos last time. I did a presentation on a local forum for a group of pastors that were very concerned about what was happening. One of those clips, a 24-minute clip, actually went viral. And then somebody made a 5-minute clip and a 6-minute clip of the biowarfare section and of the viral immune escape section. And that went even more viral than the original clip. As a result of that, I have been contacted by people from all over the world. I mean, I have friends in Europe, in the Netherlands, in Africa. I get information from an African pastor in Ghana every morning at about 2 a.m. Because of the time difference. So I'm just in touch. And then all of a sudden, someone got in touch with me. I knew him on a first-name basis only. Let me don't go into detail about him, but he began to share information with me concerning the vaccine patents. He was an adept at finding them because they're very discreetly filed, and also at analyzing them. I believe he's more than he lets on, but the information is staggering. And I want you to know that the information I'm going to be sharing with you today can be found. Yes, that's one of the sources. Modified polynucleotides for the production of secreted proteins. That's patent US 10703-789B2. And that can be found at the US Patent and Trademark Office. And there are a host of other, we have over 100 patents that we are examining right now to try to draw information from them. So this information is in public domain, and this is from the manufacturer's mouth. Let me just give you a quick idea. I'm going to start with the lighter substances first. These are what we call cytotoxic substances or cytotoxic agents. They are cell-destroying agents. And let me list some of them that are listed in the patents that are in the vaccine. Number one, formaldehyde. And formaldehyde, if any of you have been around a biology lab, it's a liquid in which they preserve dead material.
Sure.
It's a preservative. Formaldehyde is a carcinogen.
Right, and embalming fluid.
That's correct. Amen. And we also have ethylene oxide. Ethylene oxide is also listed as a carcinogen. Not only is it in the vaccines, I'm also told it is on the swabs of the PCR test. SM102, a substance that is used only for human, it is not to be used for human or veterinary anything. Humans are not to use it, animals are not to use it, but it's in the vaccine. Something called cordycepin, which is a distillation from Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. This is a fungus that produces zombie-like behavior in ants, and this fungus can be used to treat conditions in the human body, but if it goes beyond the blood-brain barrier, you have behavioral problems, and there are things in the vaccines that can that are drug delivery systems that can take payloads beyond the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
All right. Let me keep going. There's gold. There's silver. There's aluminium. There is super paramagnetic iron oxide, abbreviated as SPIO, super paramagnetic iron oxide, and also super paramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles, which is abbreviated as spions. Also, and this gets a little touchy here right now. Listed in the patents is human embryonic kidney cells,
right?
293A. And so that's actually listed as being in these vaccines. Human embryonic kidney cells. That's aborted fetal tissue. And then there is now this is shocking. Human primary foreskin fibroblasts. So they're using cells from the foreskins of human beings. And then number 11, chimera. Genetically hybridized organisms are involved. Radioactive ions are involved. And then there is also a number of secretions and cells and serums that come from animals. And if the religious people found out about this, for example, there is stearic acid from the digestive juices of the pig.
Right.
And you know, if people of a certain faith get wind of this, they'll be outraged. And there is fetal bovine cartilage. Fetal bovine serum. There are the pluripotent fetal stem cells, something called protamine, which is actually the sperm cells of a variety of animals. So all of these things are some of the cytotoxic agents in the vaccine, and that's the light part, and the part that So the part that's really alarming is the what I call the multifunctional ingredients or components.
Multifunctional. Well, we'll get into the multifunctional ingredients in just a second. We're about to go to break, so I don't want you to get cut off right when you're in the middle of something. But I'm just taking notes here, and I hope our listeners are too. Cytotoxic agents, SM102, the fungus breaking through the brain barrier, spions, aborted fetuses, human foreskins, chimeric animal cells, bovine cells, pig cells. All of this is in the patents for the COVID vaccines, and it's all public information. I'm already feeling sick, Dr. McDowell. I mean, that is quite a troubling list of information there, but we'll get into the real troubling stuff with Dr. McDowell on the other side. Again, this is Dr. Michael Mcdowell. You can find his website, michaelmcdowellministries.com. He's the founding and senior pastor of Rafa Revival Ministries in Northwest Trinidad, there in Diego Martin. So we'll be right back with Dr. McDowell on the other side to break down more about these vaccine patents. Stay tuned, folks. You're going to want to. My guest, Dr. Michael Mcdowell, is breaking down some troubling revelations about patents, vaccine patents that are in the public domain. You can search them and find them yourself. I do want to ask, though, Dr. McDowell, are these the patents that are out right now? Because we know that a lot of companies, corporations, they'll patent something, even if they don't necessarily want to manufacture it. They just want to lay claim to the idea. They want to make sure their name is on it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's being produced yet. Do we know if these patents are the ones being produced, or are these just they're making these patents because they want to get their foot in their door and make sure that they have claim to these patents if they should be created in the future? Do we know if these are the vaccines that are being manufactured now?
Okay, excellent question. I know the date on the patent that I sent to you is July 7th, 2020. And yes, some patents sometimes they never even come to market.
Right.
But the the contents or the things that are listed in these patents are also supported by many investigators, many credible research scientists who have done optical microscopy and different types of microscopy to find out what are the contents of the vaccines. And what everybody thought they were talking about in terms of the contents that was conspiracy theory has been actually totally backed up by what is found in the patents. And as I said, there are hundreds of patents out there, and this corroborates with an investigation of exactly what is in the vaccine vials. So it looks like sacrosanct information.
I see. Okay, and then of course the one we just had up was the Moderna. It was filed by Moderna, which is one of the vaccine manufacturers. So if these aren't the actual vaccine, it's at least the vaccine manufacturers. These are what they're putting in the vaccines. So please, sir, keep going. You called the ingredients an alphabet soup, but that not all of the ingredients were in all of the vaccines. But once they're sort of combined, you explained it to me during the break. I can't put it as well as you, so I'll just give the floor over to you, and you can explain to the audience what you meant by this alphabet soup of ingredients in the vaccine.
Yes. What alarmed me when I grasped exactly what they were doing? I thought I was in a fairy tale.
Right.
It's an alphabet soup of substances, cytotoxic substances, and component parts that can be assembled and programmed to move in the direction of predetermined outcomes. In other words, this is purposeful, what they're putting in the vaccines. And at times, sometimes they don't put everything into one shot. That's why as time passes, they're recommending boosters, and sometimes every 6 months there's a new booster.
Right.
Or every 3 months there's a new booster. So they just keep feeding you the material until they have inside of you all the substances they want and the component parts they want there, so they can bring them together to accomplish the purpose that they have set out.
And what is that purpose, sir?
Well, the purpose is actually, it's a multifaceted purpose, and I'm going to hit you that right toward the end of the presentation. It's actually, and also, it's not only multifaceted, it also, different people groups are targeted for different functions and different purposes. So not everybody's in the same boat.
I see.
And so you're going to see, it's a very extensive agenda. Yes, you see, booster shots are coming out rapidly.
Right.
So what I just listed to you, Harrison, as troubling as that may seem, what I want to jump into now is what I call the multifunctional ingredients, and this is where the rubber meets the road. This is it. This is the tough stuff. And in March 2020, I heard a young lady who used to work at DARPA, a whistleblower, begin to share some of the things that DARPA was actually generating. One of them was something called Hydrogel, and there are actually DARPA patents that you can find on Hydrogel. Hydrogel is a gel-like substance. It can fuse and combine with living tissue. It was developed by DARPA. It is actually an allotrope. Developed by DARPA, and it is actually a big part of the vaccines. I'm going to come back to hydrogel in a while. Hydrogel is composed mainly of something called graphene oxide. Now, if anybody has studied chemistry, even lightly, graphene actually is a new allotrope of carbon. Carbon has a number of allotropes. Diamond is one, graphite is one, that sort of thing. A number of different forms that carbon can exist in. One is graphene, and graphene is one atom thick. Right. It's a tetrahedron that's one atom thick, and it's all graphene oxide and graphene hydroxide are super strong. They are superconductors. They have electrical properties, and they can be used to generate electrical power. And graphene oxide is heavily present in the vaccines. Right. We're going to come back to graphene oxide in a little while as well. And you may have heard of the recent death of Dr. Andreas Nowak, a German researcher.
Yep. We actually covered that quite extensively here on American Journal. I know our audience was very interested in that. Yeah, devastating story. And of course, if people are interested in finding out about it, band.video, we show his presentation on graphene oxide and the single cell and the way it cuts through the system. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So you know that information, that it really damages the internal system, especially the endothelium of the blood vessels. And so, in addition to graphene oxide, there is also something called Luciferase, and this is I know you've heard the name, but Luciferase is a bioluminescent enzyme taken from the firefly.
Right.
So we have firefly cells inside of you, and it's used to mark genes and mark genes in such a way that they can be read by external sensors. It is used extensively. What is going to be used for? You know, we supermarkets and business houses have on their product something called a barcode. And the barcode is really a system of spaces and lines that is dominated by the number 666.
Right.
And the barcoding is designed around the number 666. And what is going to be happening with the Luciferase, they're going into what is called nano barcoding. And this is designed for scanning and tracking. It is designed also for certification of identity. Harrison, we are getting into some serious, what we call mark of the beast technology.
Right.
And while the vaccine may not be the mark of the beast per se, the mark of the beast technology is going to be inside of you. Amen. And you're going to see just now that even though these are component parts inside that can be actually programmed, assembled, disassembled, reassembled, and directed, externally. We're going to see that in a little while. There's also a phenomenon using Luciferase called Teslaphoresis. It was first explored at the major work on it was done at Rice University. I wouldn't name the particular doctor who was involved. And there are actually videos on YouTube showing you what Teslaphoresis is. It's once the Luciferase is activated, it causes a spontaneous assembly of gold and silver nanowires that are used in the production of electrical systems to generate electricity in your body, and also as a transmitter and transmitting and receiving device. So I'm going to try to show you toward the end of this broadcast that even though this sounds like fantasy, the existing technology supports exactly what is going on.
It doesn't sound like fantasy to me. It sounds like the Book of Revelations. It sounds like what's been predicted for so long. No, it's incredible. I'll tell you what, when we get back on the other side, I'm just going to shut up and give you the floor because I know you have so much information that you need to get out there, and I want our audience to be able to get it. Of course, you can find Dr. McDowell's website, michaelmcdowellministries.com, where he puts up so much great information. He's the senior pastor of Rafa Revival Industries there in Northwest Trinidad. We'll be back, and I'll just sit back and watch along with our audience as we learn where this goes, where it's headed, and what happens once they get all of this disturbing material into your body that apparently can react to and be possibly programmed by radio waves. We're learning that. There's a new report on Band.video by Greg Reese about 5G. It's all intertwined. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is American Journal. Remember, you support everything that we do here by going to InfoWarsStore.com. Take advantage of the Christmas super sale. Get your orders in now so you can get those products into the stockings and under the Christmas tree by Christmas time. And we thank you so much for doing that. It lets us get the great guests that we do, including my guest now, Dr. Michael Mcdowell. You can find his website, michaelmcdowellministries.com. Now, I said I was going to shut up and let you take the floor, Dr. McDowell, but I do have a quick question because, we covered the death of Dr. Nowak, who was murdered in very mysterious circumstances mere hours after revealing that it wasn't just graphene oxide in the vaccine, it was actually graphene hydroxide. And my question to you, before I just let you take over and give the rest of your presentation, is would the graphene oxide, the thinness of it, and the fact that it can break through your cells, it's one atom thick, and so it makes it sharp. And so that's what Dr. Nowak was saying, was that it would basically cuts through the liminal structure of your vein and allows the spike proteins and other things to get into your body. Would that be able to break through the blood-brain barrier that you were talking about, protects us from some of the other nasty material in there? Would it be graphene oxide as sort of the delivery system, or they would open the gate for the rest of the stuff to rush in? I was just thinking about that during the break.
Okay, now the what he calls the graphene oxide or graphene hydroxide nano razor blades will cut up the epithelial, the endothelium cells of the blood vessels, and therefore cause internal bleeding. In whichever organ these capillaries are emaciated, it's going to cause trouble. If it's in the womb of a woman, it's going to cause irregular menstruation. It's going to cause spontaneous abortions. If it's in the heart, it's going to cause cardiomyopathy and a number of different heart conditions. Wherever the capillaries are affected by the graphene oxide, the graphene hydroxide razor blades, that part of the body will be destroyed. That organ will be destroyed. However, the blood-brain barrier, to get things across the blood-brain barrier, is the job of something called actually the nanoparticles or the nanobots.
I see.
And now the nanobots, they can be assembled into different structures, into different formations. They can be used as like a vessel to carry a payload.
Right.
And for example, if you want to get cordycepin into the brain across the blood-brain barrier, you will package it inside like cargo in a receptacle, which is made of a nanoparticle or nanobots assembled, and they will transport that into the brain, for whatever purpose they wanted to. And so, what is fascinating too is that these nanobots, this is nanoscience, and that is very, very advanced right now.
Right.
And they can actually be formed into different structures. They can take different payloads to different sites in the body, and they can be directed remotely from outside of the body. Right. And they can also perform genetic alteration, as we're going to see a little later on when we come to another section. So Harrison, I cannot stress enough. What you're being injected with is an operating and communication, the components of an operating system and a communication system. And the next thing I want to go to actually is the communication system. They're actually putting components inside your body, vaccine components that make you give wireless remote access to you as a person.
Right.
And biosensors are being assembled in your body. And these biosensors, they can transmit and they can receive. And these nano communication devices can be directed across the blood-brain barrier, as I mentioned, and they can connect and they can connect to and monitor the neurons of your brain cells. This is what is classically called brain-computer interface. Now there was a gentleman called Charles Leiber. I don't know if you have heard of him. He was arrested in January 2020. He was a Harvard, the head of biology and chemistry at Harvard.
Yeah. And
he was arrested for espionage, for basically assisting the Chinese in building their only BSL-4 lab at Wuhan.
Right.
He also trained a number of Chinese scientists in high-level virology and the production of pathogens and so on. So, but we thought that was all that Charles Leiber did. However, Charles Leiber was also an expert in what is called nanoscale science and biocompatible electronics, classified military neuroscience, and that was his main function. In fact, these vaccines are hydrogel-mediated neuroelectric vaccines. They are what is called brain-to-cloud transhumanism is being promoted by them. Right. This is life-machine symbiosis. Let me drop some words on you just so that your ears will no longer be virgin to these words. This is precision electronic neuromedicine technology. This is nano bioelectric silver-infused hydrogel delivery systems. That's what's being injected into us and they're calling it vaccines. This is not a vaccine at all. This is an injectable operations and communication system. Now that's the content, and everything that I've mentioned, we could spend 3 or 4 hours on exploring and digging information out of the patents, to consolidate this. But I think what a program like the American Journal InfoWars is going to be very interested in is not just the content of these patents or the content of these vaccines, but the intent. Because just as form is related to function, something is designed so that it can fulfill its purpose, so too the contents of these vaccines betray their intent. There's a specific intention for why they're producing why these ingredients are there. Let me give you 4 functions, and then I'll try to elucidate on each one. Number 1, it's a merging of brain function with electronics and artificial intelligence. A merging of brain function with electronics and artificial intelligence. Number 2, it's genetic alteration and human hybridization. That's what's going on. Number 3, it's a population management and population control device.
Right.
That's where they want to take us. Actually, they want to promote a society or have what is called a stratified society.
Right.
That means it's a sort of beehive concept, but in other words, just as a beehive has different levels of bees that are bracketed to certain functions, like there are worker drones, there's a queen bee, there are those who attend the queen bee, there are the worker drones. They want to stratify society in that way. So it's a population management and control system. And the fourth intent is genetic and electronic AI transhumanism.
Yep.
So that's where this is going. These vaccines are not about a virus. These vaccines are about bringing in global totalitarianism, amen, of a specific type, and the vaccines are the tools toward an end. That's why Bill Gates and his groups and his partners and the World Economic Forum. That's why they want to vaccinate every human being on the planet.
Right.
It's part of the whole economic reset system that they're working on. Now, genetic alteration. And this is particularly interesting. We understand that the mRNA vaccines can affect your genome because there is something called reverse transcription. An enzyme called reverse transcriptase can actually change mRNA back into DNA. That DNA can go to your nucleus and fuse with your chromosomal DNA and affect your genome. In addition to that, when the adenovirus vectors deliver their DNA payload from some of the other vaccines into your cells, there's a similar thing occurs. This DNA must go to your nucleus, fuse with your chromosomal DNA, and affect your genome. But what shocked me was that even if you don't receive an mRNA vaccine or a DNA vaccine, even if you receive one of the other vaccines that are not gene therapy vaccines, it is still possible through the use of nanobots, and these are nanoparticle entities, these microscopic machines.
Right.
It is still possible for them to actually, for the nanobots to be assembled and programmed to go into the nucleus of your cell using something called magnetofection, using the magnetic fields generated by the super paramagnetic iron oxide. They actually draw the nanobots into the cell, and they go into the nucleus, and they can actually remove and replace snippets of your DNA.
I believe it. Hey, we'll be right back with Dr. Michael Mcdowell. Stay with us. Folks, this will be our final segment with Dr. Michael Mcdowell, and I want to hand the floor over to him, but I do want to note how mysteriously God works and how interesting these paths that we take are. Dr. McDowell gave a presentation in Trinidad. Somebody filmed it. Somebody uploaded it to the internet. It went somewhat viral. Somebody else re-edited it. It went major viral. We had Dr. McDowell on. He's gotten connections all over the world because of this. They're bringing him new information. Now he's got the platform to spread it around. It's a snowball type effect where this information grows. It spreads to other people. It awakens them. They spread the information to other people. This is how we combat the rest of the world in this monolithic, ruthless medical tyranny. It's up to us and it's up to you out there to spread this information, spread this message, and help to continue this chain of events that so far has yielded so much. So with that, I want to hand it back over to Dr. Michael Mcdowell. Has a few more scientific points to make, and then I've got a few questions to clarify some of the bombshell information that he's presented already. Dr. McDowell.
Thank you, Harrison. I just want to say before I jump in that I've been, as an eschatologist, I have followed the Alex Jones InfoWars platform for over 2 decades. Wow. And he has highlighted a lot of what is happening in terms of covert geopolitics around the world. And so, Harrison, it's a joy for me to be on a platform like this, and I thank God for the good work that you all continue to do, the necessary work that you all continue to do.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a mutual honor then.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I want to let you know that, again, these vaccine patents and the information in the vaccine patents are actually a new frontier. We thank God, again, for Dr. David Martin's work with the patents of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. We thank God for all the doctors who are doing what is called teaching about early treatment protocols. And I'm very involved with creating platforms to release these doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough, right, Dr. Paul Alexander, and a number of them to share on early treatment protocols. But I think the vaccine patents are the new frontier. They are the straw that breaks the camel's back, because this is what the manufacturer is saying that they have in their products. Right. And even if they take these things down from the internet now, we have them printed and stored. So we have the information that's current. Right. And so This is amazing stuff. As I was saying just before the break, these nanobots can get into the cells. They can breach the citadel of your nuclear membrane, the membrane of the nucleus. They can get to your DNA, and they can remove portions of the DNA and replace with other DNA.
Right.
And that's called gene editing or gene writing. And what they are doing, even if you therefore do not take a genetic or a gene-altering vaccine or a gene therapy vaccine, these nanobots can go to your nucleus and alter your genome. So the bottom line is that these vaccines will alter your human genome. That is what clued me off over a year ago, that something biblical was happening.
Right.
As an eschatologist, my Bible tells me that as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Right.
And one of the in fact, the antediluvian apostasy was trying to transform or change the genome of every human being on the planet. Only Noah and his family were uncontaminated. They were perfect in their genealogies. And so that clued me off, and that tapped me into really beginning to research this in detail. So these nanobots can change your DNA. And again, merging brain function and AI. You know, we have had something called the Manhattan Project during World War II when the atomic bomb was produced. Right. Then we had the Human Genome Project, and Dr. Craig Venter, amen, beat the government team and he mapped the entire human genome.
Right.
And I believe what is happening now is, I can call it the Human Connectome Project. They're trying to map the entire human brain, amen, digitize it, amen, and load it into conscious or quantum computers. That's the level of what is going on. And they are able now to do things like stimulate behavior through remote control, behavioral control. These vaccines contain smart devices and software that can connect to outside technology. They're connecting your brain to a computer wirelessly using covert psychotronic advanced electromagnetic technology that can be beamed from global operation centers and 5G towers. The 5G and the whole thing, as Alex Jones was saying, really connects to all of this.
Right.
But what I really want to land on, and then allow you to open the floor, is the population management and control sector. What we are entering is what I call an age of hybrids. And I'm just running a mile a minute. I'm accustomed to having seminars where I can go for 3 days and lay things out methodically.
Right.
But we are entering the age of hybrids. And what they want to do is stratify society according to what I mentioned, the beehive concept.
Yep.
And let me list 8 things that they want to do. Number 1, this is a depopulation agenda. They want to exterminate a certain amount of people from the planet. Number 2, it's a surveillance and monitoring agenda. Number 3, it's a genetic alteration agenda. Number 4, it's a behavioral control agenda. Number 5, it's an enslavement agenda. They want to enslave the entire population of mankind. Number 6, it's a stratification of society agenda. And actually from number 1 is depopulation. They want to exterminate billions of people and leave a certain limited world population. Actually from number 2 to number 6, that's to enable them to bring in totalitarian control.
Right.
And then number seven is human hybridization. Number 8 is transhumanism.
Right.
What kind of genetic and robotic AI transhumanism that can even supply those who are so transformed with what they call immortality. And there is they have found the eggs and the actual creature itself, Hydra vulgaris, in the vaccine vials. And the one thing they would want from Hydra vulgaris is that it is a metazoa, biologically classified as a metazoan, and it has the ability to regenerate itself. It is literally immortal. Even if you crush it up in a blender and throw it out into a petri dish, it will reassemble itself. That's what, and they can use the cells from that, and they're trying to tap into what is called immortality.
Right.
Just like the citizens of the globe during the days of Nimrod, when they built a Tower of Babel, they were trying to breach the spirit realm or breach God's realm without going through God's mechanisms or methods.
Right.
And I see the same thing happening here. Transhumanism, that genetic and robotic transhumanism, the whole metaverse concept is what is being pushed. Tampering with the human genome is tampering with the engines of creation. And I see a clip there that you have, a very powerful clip. And that comes from the whole, what is called the Avatar Project.
Right.
It is their intention to map the entire human mind, the entire brain, and to be able to digitize your responses. There's some, I sent a powerful video to you. I don't know if you all could look at it at some time. Ray Kurzweil, the head of technology at Google, is actually talking about the concept of they can so map his own brain that they can produce the information they have, and they can download it into a computer, and that computer can respond to you in such a way that it will pass the Ray Kurzweil test. In other words, it will interact with you, it will answer you just as the original person, Ray Kurzweil, will. Right. They're trying to create avatars. In other words, where they are going is completely anti-biblical.
Right.
And the technologies that support this would be things like the accelerated technologies that are happening now: genetics and microbiology. Number 2, robotics. Number 3, nanotechnology. Number 4, artificial intelligence. They are leaps and bounds ahead of where we are presently. Right. If you have any questions, Harrison, feel free to jump in and.
No, I honestly, I mean, I'm. And if the crew can even show my page here, it's literally covered in writing. I've just been taking notes this entire time, but all of it makes perfect sense to me. And of course, you realize that this is a spiritual war, and I'm so glad you brought it back to that. And of course, immortality is what the devil tempts you with, right? That was the whole promise to Adam and Eve, is that he'll make them immortal. They are literally following a satanic agenda. And as you point out, you look around these days, it looks an awful lot like Sodom and Gomorrah. It looks an awful lot like the days of Noah. It really is incredible. The stratification, I mean, you tie it all in together. I don't have any questions. I have a lot of anger like yourself, but I think that's the correct response, right? You learn this information, you realize what they're doing, then you get angry and you get involved and you get smart and you do the research and you spread this message. You don't give up, you don't give in, you don't think, oh, there's too much, they're too powerful. No. They're a paper tiger, and they're trying to lure you in to a demon's dream so you can live as some facsimile of yourself in some digital form. It's sick and wrong, but that is where all of this is heading. And I think you've laid out very clearly how the vaccine is getting us to that point. I just want to thank you for coming on, sir. We're coming to the end of our program here, but of course, you can find Dr. Michael J. McDowell at michaelmcdowellministries.com, or hey, if you're in Northwest Trinidad, visit him at the Rafa Revival Ministries there in Diego Martin. Thank you so much for coming on, sir, and elucidating all of this for us.
God bless you. Thank you so much for having me, Harrison.
Well, thank you. That was a lot of information. I do hope people were taking notes, but hey, if you weren't, you can find this video and share it at band.video, and I hope that you do that. While you're there, please go to InfoWarsStore.com and help support us. We are making big moves here at InfoWars, and it's all thanks to your support, InfoWarsStore.com. And thank you again to Dr. Michael McDowell for that presentation. Amazing stuff.